Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the classic 1999 shark creature feature, Deep Blue Sea. The film is directed by Rennie Harlan and it stars Thomas Jane, Saffron Burrows, Samuel L. Jackson, LL Cool J, Jacqueline McKenzie, Michael Rapaport and Stellan Skarsgård. Now the film essentially focuses on like an isolated marine research facility that is run by Saffron Burrows' character, Dr. Susan McAllister. She is trying to find a cure for Alzheimer's. And she's being funded by Samuel L. Jackson's character, Russell Franklin, who's like one of the world's richest people. However, after one of the sharks escapes and puts the general public in danger, he's considering shutting the whole thing down until she pleads with him to come out, see what they're doing for himself before he makes that decision. He heads out there to the research facility. A massive storm hits and the sharks essentially escape, and everybody then is at huge risk from these three sharks. These three sharks happen to have been mutated in order for them to create what she needs for the cure for Alzheimer's, and the side effect of this mutation has made them considerably smarter than usual. Right, what are my thoughts on Deep Blue Sea? Well, I think Deep Blue Sea, for me personally, has always been one of my favourite shark-type films. You know, whether we like it or not, every shark film that comes out is always going to be compared to Jaws. And none of them has ever surpassed it. And I was very much surprised if any ever does. It is, you know, the gold standard in regards to shark movies. However, Deep Blue Sea was a pretty successful movie. I remember it doing quite well at the time, but I think a lot of people kind of dismiss Deep Blue Sea for a number of reasons. You know, it's a bit cheesy, it's a bit corny here and there, and it's been diluted somewhat by the poor sequels. There's been a couple of sequels. I've certainly reviewed them on this channel. The second one was really terrible, and the third one was, from what I remember anyway, essentially a remake of the first one in many ways. But none of them have been anywhere good as certainly the first one. No, I'm not here to tell you that the first one is, you know, unmissable and, you know, it's a all-time classic or anything like that. It is a lot of fun to watch this one. I've rewatched it to prepare for this review. I've got it on Blu-ray, and I really enjoyed myself again watching this film. I think what this film does well is it kind of tips its hat to what's come before. You know, the scene with the license plate pulled out of the shark's mouth. You know, it's the license plate from Jaws, and all the sharks, the three sharks that are killed in the same way as the sharks in Jaws 1, 2 and 3, which is quite fun. There are some really fun moments in the film with the sharks. The sharks where it takes off Stellan Skarsgård's arm is really effective. The scene where the shark grabs Stellan Skarsgård's character on the stretcher after the helicopter's exploded and just flings him into the thing is fun. I mean, you could go on. There's a lot of fun scenes in this film. It feels a little bit claustrophobic because much of the activity of this film takes place within this this underwater research facility, and essentially the sharks are trying to flood the facility so they can kind of raise the water levels so that they can get out of the fence, because underneath the fences are all kind of electrified sort of thing, so they can't get out and reinforced, but the fence on top of the facility is just normal fence. So the plan from the sharks, being smart and all that, is to like sink it so everything rises up so they can kind of get to that fence above and escape, which they figure out eventually, the human characters. It was the breakout role for Thomas Jane, and we all know he's gone on to have a pretty successful career in movies. And Samuel L. Jackson's character, who was red hot at the time, don't forget. I mean, you could argue he's still red hot now, Samuel L. Jackson. He's not exactly, you know, faded from view, has he? You know, a great piece of casting here. I mean, initially, apparently he was offered the LL Cool J role, but his agency turned it down. So Rennie Harlan kind of went to created this role and went to him and says, "How about this role? You know, number one, you're going to be like the richest guy in the world, and number two, you're going to have the best scene in the film, the most memorable scene." And he signed on the dotted line. And for those of you who have never seen this film, there are going to be some spoilers here. The scene I'm talking about with Samuel L. Jackson is, of course, his death scene, which is highly memorable. And very, very shocking. I remember seeing it for the first time and I jumped out of my seat, where he's giving that, you know, great speech to everybody about how they're not going to give up and they're going to get through this and all this kind of stuff, and then the shark just pops up from underneath the water thing and just grabs him. It's very memorable, even if the CGI does look considerably dodgy these days for that scene. So there are moments in this film where it does look its age at times, but there are also moments in this film where it still stands up very much. It's a combination, obviously, of practical and some CG effects, all that kind of stuff, but it does work. You've got some fairly memorable characters here. A lot of them, you kind of feel it, you feel their loss, and I like it when films do that. It means that they've done something with the film, they've done something with these characters, they've been fleshed out well enough for you to actually care about them when they go, and I think this film does that. It's fairly harsh in the way it eliminates some of the characters, and that is nicely done. The Saffron Burrows character is, I don't know, it's a character that for me has always been deeply unlikable. She's essentially the villain of the piece, and while the film does a fairly good job of explaining that, it also it gives you a deeply unlikable character on like the human side. Now, apparently the initial idea was to make her the hero of the piece, sort of thing, and she was going to survive. But test audiences didn't like that at all. They thought she should get it because she's basically the reason why everything like this is happening. Because she's the one that illegally mutated these sharks to kind of get what she wanted. So it's kind of changed so that, you know, she does what she does at the end of the film, uses herself as bait and gets chomped by the sharks, and that was much better received. It's certainly a better ending. And the LL Cool J character is, for the most part, I suppose, the comedic aspect of the film. But in actual fact, if you actually quietly analyse his character, he has a very prominent role in this film. In actual fact, you don't really think about it so much, but he kills two of the sharks. So I think this really does stand up as being a very, very good shark film, a pretty good damn creature feature. I know a lot of people aren't really sure, you know, the class creature features as like, you know, monsters, you know, all that kind of stuff, werewolf films or whatever. I class this is a creature feature film, you know, The Ghost of the Darkness is a creature feature film, all that kind of stuff, because there's a creature at the centre of it and they are munching on things. So whether it's a creature that doesn't exist in real life or a creature that does, I think they all kind of lump themselves in the same category. So I'm going to focus on a few more creature feature films. If you've got some ideas, pop them in the comments for creature films you'd like me to feature. And if you haven't seen Deep Blue Sea before, you definitely need to check it out. It's a very well made shark film. Yes, it's corny as hell at times. Yes, there's some dodgy dialogue and all that kind of stuff. But it's an exciting roller coaster ride with some memorable scenes. So I'm sure you will enjoy yourself. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. I'll be back with more content on the channel very, very soon.